Hello, my friends, and welcome to the study. Today we're going to have a little role play for everyone who's ever wanted to fall asleep in class. So here's your chance to fall asleep in your very own classics class. I hope you're very comfortable in this classroom. We're going to do a little bit of Greek, a little bit of Latin, a little bit of history in this beginner's classics class. First, we're going to start in ancient Greece. Let's look at our map. Greece, as it came to be known, developed after the Bronze Age collapse into autonomous city-states after the Peloponnesian Wars against Persia. It had somewhat of a unity under Alexander the Great in the 3rd century BC, who conquered the Aegean and the Near and Middle East, all the way to India and Egypt. Advancing this Hellenistic world, its culture and its language. So from these 3 centuries after the Bronze Age collapse until Alexander, we have several ages of Greece. Mycenaean Greece and the polis, the city-states, that began to form in the 8th century BC, beginning the Archaic period, colonization of the Mediterranean, the classical period, and the Peloponnesian or Greco-Persian Wars. Including the classical age or golden age of Athens. And we can see Alexander's conquests here, spreading this civilization all the way into Central Asia. Making the eastern part of the Mediterranean Hellenistic, including Egypt, because Alexander had set most of his generals to be kings in these conquered areas. And then later, these places would fall to Rome. And we can see the economy that postdated Alexander's expansion in 3rd to 2nd centuries BC, spreading this classical Greek culture. We can even say that the modern West derives its founding ideas of politics, philosophy, science and art, stories, and mythology from the example set by ancient Greece. Let's look at some Greek mythology. These are the pantheon of 12 Olympic gods, or the 12 Olympians. We have Zeus, Hera, Ares, Aphrodite, Dionysus, Demeter, Hephaestus, Athena, Hermes, Persephone, Poseidon, Artemis, Hades, and Apollon. The Romans would take their example of mythology from these Greek Olympians. Shall we have a look at some? Athena. Let's look at Athena. Athena is shown here with her spear, helmet, and her pet owl. In Latin, she's known as Minerva. She's the goddess of wisdom, warfare, and also of strategy, strategos. She's said to have emerged fully formed from Zeus's forehead. She's a patron of heroes and also the goddess of wisdom. Who else shall we pick? Dionysus. Here you can see Dionysus dressed for a party in his Greek robes there. His staff has been intertwined with grapevines, and he's pouring wine into a cup or goblet. He's outside, and he wears a garland of leaves. In Latin known as Bacchus, he is the god of wine, of revelry, and also of the theatre, sometimes associated with celebration of life and accompanied by a retinue of maenads, reveling satyrs and lesser fairy-like frivolous gods. Who shall we have next? Now there's one. Apollon. Apollon and Apollo in Latin is the god of music, and there you can see his harp. Of poetry, but also of prophecy and healing. He could do many things, and like Athena, is associated with the arts, the sun, and the oracle at Delphi. In our pantheon, who shall we do next? Let's see. Would you like to pick? Aphrodite. Seen here with long flowing locks, a dove, a flower, and robes. Venus in Latin, she is the goddess of love, beauty, and desire. She was born from the sea and associated with passionate and physical beauty, and appears in many stories. Let's look at Poseidon next, because he is the god of the sea, whence Aphrodite sprang. He is also the god of horses and earthquakes. You can pretty much see in ancient Greek culture and history, geological history, why they might have associated the god of the sea with earthquakes. Poseidon, with his trident and his crown, ruled over the realm of the ocean. With his trident, he could shake the earth and make earthquakes, create storms at sea, and also release the Kraken. Who do we have next? Hades, with his three-headed dog. Known as Pluto in Latin, he is the god of the underworld and ruler of the dead. He is the only one of the Olympians not to live on Mount Olympus, because he lives in the underworld. Who else have we got? Hephaestus, known as Vulcan in Latin, is the god of blacksmiths. And you can see his anvil here, and this chain he's working on, because he was also the god of craftsmen and fire. He created divine weapons and magical or mystical artifacts. He appears in several of the myths and stories to make special weapons. And the others we have are Zeus, of course, the king of the gods, Hera, his wife, Ares, or Mars, Zeus, the king of the gods, Jupiter in Latin, his wife Hera, or Juno, Hermes, or Mercury. He is the messenger god with its winged helmet. He is another god of many things: communication, travel and commerce. Known for his cunning and quick wit, he would help guide souls to the afterlife, but was also a protector of travelers. We can't forget Demeter, or Ceres, Ceres, goddess of agriculture, fertility, and harvest. Here she holds a sickle and carries some wheat. Her daughter, Persephone, was kidnapped, and she was so sad that every year the earth goes into autumn and winter while she mourns. We also let's learn how to write some Greek. We'll write these names using the Greek alphabet. We'll start with Athena. There's our capital Alpha, and now we need a theta. Theta, thena. And then we need, after our theta, we need an eta. That is the sound A, eta. And now we have n. That is our nu for the sound n. Athen. And then our last. Athena. Athena. So the ones to remember there are the eta and nu, which don't look anything like what you would expect. And there's Athena. Let's do another A. Aphrodite. Alpha. There's our capital. And we need a F. So we've got a phi. Phi. F. This is where we get the pH in many of our English words. So if you see a pH that's pronounced as F, you know it's from the Greek. Aphrodite. What is our next sound? Rho. It's a funny little letter. It's almost like an O with a tail. Rho. R. That's our R sound. And the O is quite easy. The O we need here is not an omega, but an omicron, which looks very much like, if not exactly like, our O in English, in modern English. Afro. Delta for our D sound. And E. Aphrodite is the actual pronunciation in Greek. So we've got E. We don't have a theta there. We have a tau. T. There's our small tau. Aphrodite. And just like eta, Aphrodite. Let's do one last long one. On the top row, our blacksmith, Hephaestus. Now here, we're going to start with the E, because this is actually a capital Eta. It's going to be aspirated, so you can put an aspiration mark there. Hef, he. There we go. That's our he sound, because that's our E with an aspiration. He. You can also write the aspiration that way. If this one's over the top, it will be a small one, lowercase, and not aspirated. But we're going to say he, and we need a f as in Aphrodite. So there's our phi, hef, and this is where Hephaestus. It's an alpha. Hephaestus. Yes. Except in our Greek we do have this diphthong, Hephaestus. So we need an E sound for this diphthong. I, Hephaestus. Very nice. And our S sound. There. That is our lowercase sigma. This is the sigma that's in the middle of a word. On the end of a word, we don't curl it around. We just use that, which is rather funny. And they're both sigma. So we've got Hephaes, and we need the rest of it. T. Tau, Omicron, and there is our sigma at the end. Hephaestus. Let's look at a Roman general. That's actually our Caesar and his legionary, or general and his legionary. And then we have the mounted soldier, his equites. We can have a look in our book about Roman life. This shows all of the accoutrements for our Roman legionary. Armor, shield, tools, clothing, even his food, and a cloak and a hat. It's a lot of things that he had to carry. As we move on to ancient Rome, we can look at the city of Rome. Rome had three main periods of time. These were the kingdom. There were 7 kings. And then we had the republic. And then later the empire, which expanded and surpassed anything any ancient kingdom had done before it. Let's have a look at the city, shall we? This is from our little book that we're going to be looking at to learn some Latin. These are the walls of ancient Rome. There's the river Tiber, and these are the 7 hills of Rome. Here we can see the Latin Roma Antiqua. Let's have a look at these words. Antiqua, meaning either ancient or classical. Classical in the modern sense, meaning the classical age of Rome and Greece. Antiqua, ancient Rome. Moenia Antiqua. Moenia is a defensive wall. Porta is a gate. And here we have a Forum Romanum. A forum is a marketplace or big public space where people would meet. Campus, meaning field. Not so much an agrarian field like an ager, but an expanse or meadow, almost like a playing field. Let's see if we can do some vocabulary. I have some cards here. Can you see them? Mare, which means we also have the genitive as well, but we're just going to learn the basic word today. I can show you there without the glare. Mare, sea. Good. And our next one, mons, mountain. Flumen, river. Urbs, city. Muris, wall. Locus, place. Now we have our verbs. Let's see if we can show that to you. There we go. Transeo, to go across. Pono, to put or place. Now some prepositions. In, and in Latin this can mean in or on with the ablative case. Another preposition, a, ab, with the ablative meaning by or from. Hic, it can mean here or this, or even the pronouns he, she, it. Romanus, this is an adjective meaning Roman. Bene, this is an adverb meaning well, as in it is well. 2 more, a number viginti, 20, viginti, and septem, 7. Now, let's have a look at our verbs. Do you remember the verbs we had? We had 2. Transeo and pono. Transeo, to go across. Let's write these. Now, in Latin, we conjugate verbs with different endings depending on who is talking or being talked about and whether it's singular or plural. And here we have transeo and our long transeo. This is from the verb eo, meaning to go. The infinitive being ire. And if we put trans, it means to go across. Transeo. Third person you'll recognize. Transit. It goes across. What about pono? To place or put. This one is from ponere. And we can say pono, I put, I place. Ponis, you place. And ponit, it places. But that's enough playing with our verbs. All you really need to remember is I place and I go across. Do you remember the others? Let's see if we can remember the others. Mare, sea. Mons, mountain. Flumen, river. Orbs, city. Murus, wall. And locus, place. Well done. Let's try our prepositions. In for in or on. A, up. By or from. Hic, this or it. Romanus, Roman. Bene, well. And our 2 numbers, viginti, 20, and septem, 7. Let's see if we can recognize some of those words. In a little story, we're going to use Roma Aeterna. And we've got some information about Rome. Orbs Roma in ripa Tiberis flumings cita est, viginti milia passum a mare. Mare is the sea. Milia passum is a mile. A is from. And you remember viginti is 20. So we have 20 miles from the sea. Cita Est is situated. Where is this situated 20 miles from the sea? It is the Urbs Roma, the city of Rome. Cita Est is situated in Ripa Fluminis, on the banks, Ripa, of the river Fluminis, Tiberis, on the banks of the river Tiber or Tiber. And there we have our sentence. Where is Rome? Ubi est Roma, urbs Roma in Ripa Tiberis Fluminis, cita est, viginti milia passum a mare, 20 miles from the sea. And now we have our pronoun hic in a different case. Hoc loco flumen facile transitur. Do you see that ending? Transitur. That is a passive. This location. At this location, the river is easily transversed, easily crossed. Et and coles propinqui bene muniri possunt. Coles being the hills. Propinqui, the nearby. Bene muniri possunt. There's our new word, possunt. They can be. Bene muniri, well fortified. Coles propinqui, the nearby hills. And there we are. What else can we say about Roma Antiqua? Moenia Romana. We know the Roman walls. Antiqua, the ancient Roman walls. Septem coles sive montes, 7 hills or mountains. Complectuntur, encircle. So we can see on our map the ancient walls of Rome encircle 7 hills or mountains. Quorum haec sunt nomina, of which the names are Palatium, Capitolium, Aventinus, Caelius, Esquiliae, Viminalis, Quirinalis, and those are our 7 hills. Let's look at a map. There is our Tiber River, going there, on the banks of which Rome sits, or is situated. Cita est. And then we have our ancient wall of Rome and our 7 hills. Aventinus, Caelius, and Capitolium, Palatium, Esquilae, Minalis, Quirinalis. And what else do we know about Rome? A, which is by or from, Colle Quirinali, et and a Monte Capitolinio, usque up to, ad Tiberim flumen, up to the river Tiber, Campus Martius patet, extends. So the Campus Martius here extends from the river to the two hills Capitolium Quirinalis, and there's our Campus Martius. And there we've learned in Latin about ancient Rome. You're doing very well in this class. Shall we take a break? I have here a model of one of Rome's most intriguing edifices. Do you recognize it? It's called the Pantheon. We made it together in the study, if you remember, and you can see inside. I'll place it here on our soldiers and read to you from our archaeology book on Rome's surviving archaeology. Here you can see cross sections of the Pantheon completed by Emperor Hadrian around AD 125. It has stood for almost 1890 years, one of the most magnificent architectural monuments of antiquity. Even today, it is domed interior, this rotunda that inspires a special awe, not just because of its size. It held the world record until 1958 for a span of concrete. And the diameter of the dome is exactly the same as the height. The light inside is emitted through the top. The round space in the top. And it's admitted into this big area. There's a big porch and the engraving there to Marcus Agrippa. And this book tells us all about the inside and the outside, interior and exterior of this structure. The materials that were used to make it, and possibly why it was built, even though there still remains some question about the purpose of this grand building. It is quite an impressive architectural monument to the design of ancient Rome and the capabilities. And there you can see the squares that were made out of the Roman cement. It is wholly unsupported in the center, supported only by the outer walls. It's a fantastic building. So that concludes our first classics class. We've learned about some of the Olympic gods. We've learned some Greek writing. How to write the names of some of the gods and the sounds in the Greek alphabet. We've looked at little maps of Greece and Rome. We've learned some vocabulary. And we've had a little play with the model of the pantheon and some Roman soldiers. But not the least of the things we've done has been to read a short description of ancient Rome in Latin, the language of the Romans. So if you've taken this opportunity to fall asleep in class, congratulations. You get a gold star. I hope to welcome you to another sleeping class again soon. In the meantime, be good to yourself, be kind to others, and, as always, be extraordinary.